Kornicky and Mel in the morning. Ottawa's Real Rock. Rebel 101.7.
Well, we started talking to this dude a couple weeks ago from Silver Seven Sens, Brandon Maki, one of the guys that contributes each week talking about the Sens. It's his favorite team, and he's been following it where we can't because these late games are a little bit difficult to follow late at night. Good morning, Brandon. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing all right. Those late games are kind of difficult for me too lately, but it's all good.
Yeah, well, a little easier tonight at 8 p.m. They should be on the ice. Mel, do you want to do the bragging right now about your or about your Leafs?
I would never brag about the fact that they're first in the entire league.
Nobody expected that, of course.
I didn't even expect that.
Hey, we're a tenth of the way through the season already, so who knows? I mean, things are looking pretty good. Brandon, on that game the other night that we got trounced 7-1 by Vancouver, was it just a complete breakdown of every line just not coming to the table? Was there anything that stood out as this has got to change?
I think it was everything from coaching on to goaltending. Nobody could come away from that game and say they played well. Matt Murray very publicly said after the game that he needed to be better, and rightfully so. There was a bunch of those goals that frankly, he should have had. DJ Smith has responded by saying he's going to shake up the lines and the lineup itself. So I think that's a positive step because it didn't look like things were working last game, and even the young players like Brady Tkachuk and Josh Norris and Drake Batherson, who have been the Senators' top players, they didn't have it the other night. Thomas Chabot made some uncharacteristic mistakes. Those nights are going to happen in a rebuild, but there's been a few of them in a couple weeks now, and I think that's why fans are concerned and a little upset, but it is important to keep things in perspective. They're a young team. They're growing. It's going to come.
Well, the one thing, again, watching his last couple games, actually just, checking out the replays and, the highlights from the night before, it's like they're coming out swinging. And come the second period, it's almost like there's a lack of energy there. And then if the vets aren't pulling it off in the third period, they're just left floundering out there.
It's a team that's had a lot of roster turnover, especially in the last couple of years. So I think the one advantage that other teams distinctly have over the Ottawa Senators this season is most of them have been playing together in their system and in their structure for a few years now. Especially a team like Vancouver, they did lose some talent and high-end talent for sure. But they are still a group of guys that have been playing together, know each other well, have had time to build that chemistry, and so they're going to be able to maintain those efforts throughout the games, throughout the entirety of the games. Whereas the Senators, as talented as they are at the top of their lineup, they didn't get a real training camp. They didn't get a full off season. So things are still kind of starting to mesh in that lineup. But I think you're right. I think the veterans players, they haven't been good enough. So, which is why you're going to see Tim Stützle get more opportunities higher in the lineup. It's why Colin White is going to get a look with Nick Paul and Evgenii Dadonov next game. And I think you're going to see more rotation on the blue line as well. Artem Zub will probably get into a couple of games here and there. I think Christian Melanin has staked his claim to a spot in the lineup for a while. So it's just they've got to shake things up until they find something that works. But I think it starts with giving their younger players and their core players more of an opportunity to contribute.
Now, what line are you would you pull Josh Norris down into? Would you hook him up with Stützle and just try to match some speed up with that guy so at least there's a couple guys in the other end?
No, I'm keeping that top line together, that Brady Tkachuk and Drake Batherson and Josh Norris line. I think they've been the only line that's consistently produced offense. And when they've been on their game, they've produced offense with the top lines in the league. On the level of those top lines from the Edmonton Oilers and the Toronto Maple Leafs. It doesn't always come through with points, but the chances that they produce and the time of possession that they control, those are the big things that are going to lead to points, especially as they get more of a supporting cast around them. As far as Stützle goes, he looks like he's going to get a look with Chris Tierney and Connor Brown. I think that's a good fit for him. They're two veteran guys. Tierney's underrated. He's got some speed through the middle, and he can move the puck really well, especially in transition through the neutral zone. Connor Brown's a hugely defensively responsible forward, which will take a little bit of the pressure off Stützle in that sense, where he doesn't really have to do everything. So I think as long as you're pairing him with guys that are steady, he's going to play his game, and he's going to be fine.
Hey, we're paying a lot of money for Dadonov, man. He's only got 2 points on the season so far. What do you do with that guy right away, or do you just wait till he finds his groove?
It's coming. He scored a nice goal against Winnipeg on the weekend, and like DJ Smith said, he's always been a bit of a streaky player. The thing about a guy like Dadonov is you're coming off a season in Florida, or a few seasons in Florida, where he was playing with Sasha Barkov, who's one of the best pure playmakers in all of hockey. So Dadonov's a finisher, and if you don't give him guys that are going to feed him the puck when he's in good positions, points aren't going to come right away. And again, like I said, it was a strange off season. There was no real training. It wasn't a real training camp. These guys are still getting used to each other, and the Senators are still finding out what works. So if I could give fans one piece of advice with regards to Evgenii Dadonov, I would say be patient. It's coming. It's not as if this talented hockey player lost all sense of how to play the game over the offseason. He'll be back, and he'll start producing again. Again, it's just a question of patience as this team kind of comes together.
All right, I'll leave you with one more. Matt Murray and Hogberg, are they going to be bouncing back and forth, you think, game to game?
I don't think so. I think Matt Murray's their guy. He hasn't had the best start to the season. But I do think his numbers are a bit deceptive because there were a few games against Winnipeg and against the Leafs where he was completely hung out to dry. And he did, and even still made some huge saves in some big moments. I think last game was a bit of an outlier from what we're going to see with regards to Matt Murray. And again, the defense core in front of him hasn't been great either. So as that starts to improve, which it will, and as, again, Murray starts to get acclimated to this new environment, he's going to start putting up the big numbers. You know, when you're paying a guy that money and he's got that kind of pedigree, he kind of has to be your guy. And that's not a knock on Marcus Hogberg. He's going to get opportunities as well, and he's a phenomenal goaltender in his own right. But I think the Senators are going to live and die with Matt Murray.
Right on. Well, tonight's game, 8 p.m., game 2 of 3. They play tomorrow night, I think, as well. Anyways, it might be a little bit easier to stay up and check out most of the game tonight. And, Brandon, before I let you leave, you're from Sudbury originally, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, Tim, our big boss around here the other day, and he mentioned something to me, and it's like, oh, yeah, that's from his hometown. He just wanted to know what your favorite Topper's pizza is.
I'm a classic guy. I got to go with pepperoni. I'm old school that way.
Yeah, up in Sudbury, I guess that's where the first Topper pizza is first kicked out. But
it is, yep.
Yeah, they got a good thing. Anybody that's up there knows that sauce. So I don't know if they have it in Toronto for you, but we still got a couple of them here in town. Dude, thank you so much for spending some time with us, putting some perspective on it. Not always easy to stay up and watch the games, but thanks for filling it in, and looking forward to tonight. We'll talk again next week, find out what kind of shape we're in.
Appreciate you having me, as always.
Dude, have a great day.
Take care.